She reaches up and stills the wind chime before it can ring again. The metal tubes sway once more anyway, brushing each other with a thin, unfinished sound. Her hand remains lifted, hovering just beneath them, as if she can quiet the air itself. The person stands there longer than necessary, palm open, waiting for movement to stop. Then she lowers her arm. The chime hangs from the edge of the porch roof. It has always hung there. The string is slightly twisted near the top. The wood circle faded by light. Nothing about it looks new. Nothing about it looks worn enough to be removed. A small breeze passes through. The tubes touch again. She's not stepped back inside. She used to ignore the sound. It blended into the rest of the afternoon, into breathing, into distant birds, into another presence standing somewhere near her shoulder. Back then, the chime was just background. Now it arrives alone. She folds her arms, then unfolds them. Her fingers press lightly against her elbows, then drop to her sides. The wind chime moves in short, irregular motions. Not enough wind for a full song. Just fragments. She listens to each fragment as if it might form something complete. It never does. The porch boards beneath her feet remain steady. The railings still cast the same narrow shadows. The steps leading down have not shifted. She knows the spacing of each one without looking. Another breeze comes, softer this time. The sound is thinner than before. She tilts her head slightly, as if measuring the difference between this afternoon and others that looked exactly like it. The light has not changed. The sky holds the same pale tone. The air carries the same mild temperature. Still, something in the space beside her feels permanently cleared. She steps forward and lets the wind chime brush lightly against her shoulder. It taps once against bone and fabric. The contact is accidental, but she does not move away. For a moment, she stands close enough to feel the faint vibration travel through the metal. Then the wind stops. The tubes settle into stillness. She waits, expecting one last sound. None comes. She begins to notice the wind before she notices anything else. Not the sky. Not the light. Just the air. Each day, she steps onto the porch at nearly the same hour. The boards answer her weight with the same low sound. Her hand brushes the railing in passing. Not for balance, but for contact. She stops beneath the wind chime without looking up at it. She listens first. Sometimes the air is restless. The tubes strike each other in uneven patterns, bright and thin. Sometimes there is almost nothing. A faint tremble. A soft brush of metal that barely completes a note. She never adjusts it. The string remains twisted the way it has always been. The wood circle still tilts slightly to one side. She could straighten it. She has thought about it, but she leaves it alone. Instead, she adjusts herself. On louder days, she stands farther back. On quieter days, she moves closer, as if proximity might help her catch what is almost there. She times her breathing with the intervals between sounds. Inhale during stillness. Exhale when the metal touches. It becomes a small rhythm she does not speak about. There are afternoons when the wind does not come at all. On those days, she stays longer than she means to, waiting for a single strike. A small confirmation that the air is still capable of movement. When it finally happens, one soft collision, she nods slightly, as if something has been completed. Other days, the chime rings too often. Rapid. Uncontrolled. She folds her arms and watches the tube sway with a distance she did not use to keep. The sound overlaps itself until it becomes less clear, less individual. She prefers the spaces between. The porch remains unchanged. The steps still lead downward. The yard beyond remains open and still. No new marks appear on the railing. No new cracks form in the boards. Time passes without leaving visible proof. Yet her visits grow longer, and the pauses between each sound begin to feel wider than they used to. One afternoon, she steps onto the porch later than usual. The light is lower, thinner. It stretches across the boards in long, uneven lines. She does not stop beneath the wind chime right away. Instead, she stands near the doorway, as if unsure whether to cross the last few steps toward it. The air is still. The tubes hang straight down, separated, not touching. She waits. Her hand lifts halfway, then drops again. There is no wind to quiet, no sound to measure. The silence feels heavier when it arrives without invitation. She walks forward slowly and stands directly beneath the chime, close enough that she can see the faint scratches along the metal, close enough to notice how the string has frayed slightly near the knot. She does not touch it. A breeze should have come by now. At this hour, it used to move through without effort, enough to stir the tubes into a brief song, enough to interrupt whatever thoughts were forming. But the air holds back. She shifts her weight from one foot to the other. The boards answer softly. That sound feels clearer than the one she is waiting for. For a moment, she reaches up and pushes one of the tubes with the tip of her finger. It strikes the others gently. The sound is wrong. Too direct. Too deliberate. It ends quickly, without echo. She lowers her hand at once. The metal settles into stillness again, as if correcting her. She steps back, almost an apology. The space between her and the chime widens by a small measure. She folds her arms tightly this time, not loosely as before. Another minute passes. No wind arrives to cover what she has done. The porch remains steady beneath her. The yard beyond does not move. Even the leaves at the edge of the steps seem suspended, waiting for instruction. She realizes she has been standing in the exact place where two shadows once overlapped in the late afternoon light. Now, there's only one. The chime hangs above her, untouched, unchanged. She does not reach for it again, and she does not step back inside. The next evening, she steps onto the porch without looking up. The wind chime hangs where it always has. The string remains twisted. The wood circle still leans slightly to one side. Nothing has corrected itself overnight. A light breeze moves through. The tubes strike once. Then again. She does not walk beneath them this time. She stays near the top step, one hand resting on the railing. The sound reaches her from a small distance. Thinner now, less immediate. It is enough. She listens without measuring the pauses, without counting how many notes arrive. The air shifts and settles in its own time. She does not try to match her breathing to it. Another soft collision of metal. She closes her eyes briefly, not to hold the sound, but to let it pass through without resistance. When she opens them again, the porch looks the same. The yard stretches outward in the same quiet way. The light continues lowering, unconcerned. The chime rings once more, then falls still. She does not wait for another. Her hand leaves the railing. She walks the length of the porch slowly, not toward the chime, but past it, close enough to feel a faint brush of air against her shoulder, yet not close enough to make contact. The tubes remain untouched. At the far end, she pauses for only a moment, not to listen, not to check if the wind might rise again. Just a pause. Then she steps down the stairs and moves into the yard. Behind her, a small breeze returns. The metal touches lightly, producing a brief, fragile sound. She does not turn around. Some moments are not missed by choice. They pass because there is no time left. Most people realize it much later. If you have ever looked back at a place you cannot return to, this feeling may be familiar.